Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of GoTasteify, where I will be teaching a variety of different cooking methods as well as recipes. We're going to start simple today with a breakfast that looks and tastes like you just got it out of a restaurant. Alright guys, so to get this thing started, we're going to take a non-stick pan. Make sure it's non-stick. If it's not non-stick, this is not going to work. Put it on the stove, about a medium-high heat, whatever you feel more comfortable with, and we're just going to let that heat up. While it heats up, we're going to come over to our knife right here. If you are using this in order to sharpen your knife, don't worry about going fast. Quality is a lot better than looking cool, okay? So, I'm going to put this on, a little bit angle here, up, back, and you can do that a couple times. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, to start off with the ingredients, we're going to start with just some potatoes here. 2 small ones or 1 big one, but I wouldn't really go over that depending on how many you are feeding. So we're going to come over to the cutting board and I'm going to show you how to cut this. Now, if you're working with an oddly shaped vegetable or fruit, whatever it is, you don't want to cut it while it's round or whatever shape it is. You want to make sure you're cutting it on a flat part. So, to start off, you're just going to cut it in half so you get that nice flat area to cut. Now make sure when you're cutting, the 3-finger rule, just like this, on top, thumb and pinky in the back to hold it straight, and we're just going to be dicing it real quick. So we can just move it like this. Doesn't matter if you screw up, just make sure it's nice little pieces so that it'll cook evenly. So dicing a potato is pretty simple. Just going to cut it into some nice slices here. Take it easy, take it slow, you don't want to rush. Got some nice lengthwise cuts here. From that, you can take 1 piece at a time or do all of it. I'm going to cut it to another length. And then just do about 4 or 5 pieces like that. And push it aside. And that's simply how you dice a potato. It's very, very simple. And once you're all done, we're going to head back over to the pan. Alright, pan's nice and hot, so we're going to put a little touch, just a touch of extra virgin olive oil in there. Let that go in, just a touch, to get some flavor in there. There you go, about a tablespoon I'd say. And then we're going to take just a couple tablespoons of butter and toss it in there. 1 tablespoon. Hear that sound? That's the sound you want. You want that butter to burn a little bit. Move it around the pan. Make sure it's nice and coated. We're going to take our potatoes, toss them in there. Hear that sound? That's sizzling. You want to hear that sizzling, otherwise do not put them in the pan. They are not ready. So while that is frying up, make sure it's all coated in that olive oil. And we're going to let those fry up just for about 10 to 15 minutes so it can get nice and brown. Alright guys, the potatoes have been cooking for a couple minutes now, so we're going to start setting up the rest of the dish. We're going to need a small to medium-sized pot. We're just going to fill it with cold water about halfway to 3/4 of the way for the poached egg that we will be doing. Get it nice and filled. Now we're just going to put it aside. Put it on whatever ring is more comfortable to you. We're going to get that to a rolling boil, so put it at about a medium-high to high heat. Start it off and let that go up. And we're going to come over to the cutting board and prepare the rest of our ingredients, which will be bacon. The bacon doesn't matter which bacon you use. You can have the thick kind, you can have thinner, you can have applewood smoked. Doesn't really matter. Just make sure you have a couple pieces of bacon on hand. And then we will be doing a beautiful shallot, which you can buy at mostly any grocery store. If you don't have a shallot, onions will do. It doesn't really make much of a difference. It'll all be the same once it's all together. Alright, these are looking very nice and brown. They're getting some nice coloration. So we're just going to add some salt and some pepper to this to put some flavor in. So I use sea salt flakes. You can use whatever salt you have on hand. If you use the sea salt, don't overdress it, as it can lead to very, very salty meals. A bit of pepper in here. I'm just going to give that a quick mix around. These are looking so good. And let's move over to the vegetables that we are going to finish chopping up to continue. Cut it in half here, just like that. That's cool. It turned into 2 shallots. That's kind of fancy there. So we're gonna cut it right, just a nice little line in the center of it, like that. I'm gonna do some nice little, with the tip of the knife, just some nice little slits down the way, all the way. Be careful with your fingers. Turn it over. 3-finger rule. Thumb in the back to hold it together. Now we're just gonna chop this. Came apart there, that's fine. And just repeat that to the other half. And then we're going to move on to the bacon. Alright, now we got some nice applewood smoked bacon here. It's a normal bacon you can buy at any grocery store. If you have the special pancetta type bacon, like, don't worry about it. It's the same idea. Just make sure it's in squares or cubes. 2 slices is enough for 1 portion. If you're cooking for more people, then you can just add some more bacon. It's not going to make much of a difference. Get those in nice cubes. Be careful with your fingers. You don't want to hurt yourself. And that's how you cube up some bacon. And just do that with the other bacon. And we're going to move over to the pan and we are going to finish this. Alright, so we got this water going to a rolling boil, so I'm just going to put the heat down just a tad so it can stay at that point. Move it to a different ring if you'd like. I will be doing so you can see the rest. Now that these potatoes are done, we're just going to take them off so that they don't overcook or burn. Put it on a plate to drain off. That looks good. Put it back on the ring, medium-high heat. Let that heat up again. Well, that's heating up. You can take a piece of bread. Doesn't matter which bread you use. You can use brioche, you can use thin. I tend to use the Italian bread. Pop it in that toaster. As dark as you want it. Well, that's heating up. We're going to take our bacon. And we're going to put that in. If it doesn't sizzle, you put it in a little early. Don't worry about it though, it's still going to be good. Make sure it's all broken up into pieces. You might have missed a couple while you were chopping. Mix that around a little bit. And we are going to do this until it is about half cooked. So about 2 to 3 minutes, depending on your stovetop. Alright, the bacon's about halfway cooked. You can see the bacon fat is going to start pouring into the pan. And now that we stoked that up, we are going to take our nice shallots and put them in there. And we're going to let that soak up all the bacon fat. Make sure you mix it around, otherwise it's not going to coat. Get it all nice and coated. Once it's coated, we are going to season it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and that is all. Bit of pepper. Give that a mix. Now feel free to add mushrooms or any other vegetable that you would like, but I'm just going to stick with shallots and bacon. Once that bacon fat is soaked up, you're going to take just about a tablespoon of butter and put it in there. And we're going to get that nice and brown, this nice coloration on it. Let that cook out a little bit. Toast just came out, so we're going to pull it out. And we're just going to plate it on whatever plate you choose to make this on. And we're just going to let it sit there for a little bit. Make sure you have another plate ready for this stuff, because when it comes out, it needs to stay and just drain off any other fat that's left over. And we'll wait a couple more minutes. It should be a nice coloration on the bacon, nice coloration on the shallots, and you can take it out. Okay, so this is a coloration that I like. If you'd like to put it darker, by all means put it darker, but for me this is good. So, stovetop off, grab a plate, and just drain it off onto the plate. Make sure you get all those little bits and pieces in there. You don't want to waste any of this. Now do not put this pan back into the sink yet, because we are going to use the leftover fat that's on here. So just set it aside for now. Let that drain out. And we're going to come over to our nice rolling boiled water. So at this point, you're going to need some white wine vinegar and some eggs, and that's all. Now you're going to take that toast that just came out of the toaster here, you're going to pick a side, whatever side that you want face up, and you're going to put that face down into the pan and just rub it around, and all that bacon grease and the shallots. It's going to be good. Pull it out. You're going to have a nice little crust over here. Place it back down. With the pan off, because we're just going to mix, you're going to take whatever's left of your bacon and shallots. There's still a little bit of a sizzle there. It's not fully cooled down. That's okay. You're going to take some potatoes, put it in there, and you're just going to want to give it a little bit of a mix so it's nice and incorporated. I like the way that it's looking, so we're just going to leave it in there for a little bit. We're good. Pour it back onto whatever plate you choose. And we are going to head over to the boiling water now. So the water started boiling, so I turned it down just a tad. Now before you start making a whirlpool or do anything for the poached egg, you're going to want to take some white wine vinegar. Just a quick little swoop around. Does not smell the greatest, but it really helps when it comes to eggs sticking to the pan. Now, with the whisk, make that whirlpool. You're going to take your egg, which should be put in a bowl or of sorts, or anything that you can use to just place it in. You do not want to put it in by hand. It's not going to work. So, whirlpool is going. Just drop the egg in. And now you let it go for about 2 minutes, and I'll show you a nice trick on how to tell if it's ready. Alright, so while that egg's going, we're just going to start plating our meal. So you're going to take that little hash that we made and just start placing it on the toast very nicely. You don't want anything to really fall off the edges. Use your hands if you want. Just make sure your hands are nice and clean. If some fall, don't worry about it. The point is just to make it look nice. Press it down a little bit, because as you can see it's falling a little bit. Just a tad bit more. We're going to put that in. Now all this stuff that fell, just try and get it back on there. If you want to leave it on the edges, by all means leave it on. It will be eaten either way. It's all on there. It's going to make a little well in the middle for when that egg goes on top. And now we just got to check on that egg. Alright, now with the spoon, very gently grab that egg and get it out of there. You don't want to... See what I just did? I just dropped it. You don't want to do that. You want to pull it out. And you see how it's kind of holding its shape there? It's not sinking, it's not moving. That's what you want. So you're just going to take that off, and we're going to bring it over to the plate. Very gently place it on top without breaking it. And we're just going to put some salt and some pepper on that. Some salt, not too much there, because I am using the sea salt. Bit of pepper. If you really want to elevate this a little bit, you can get some nice dried parsley, which I have in my cupboard here. Add some nice flavor to just a tad on the top. Get some in your hands. Just a little bit like that. Look at that. That looks great. Now we're going to get our knife, and we're going to cut in there, and you're going to see what I mean. Move that, and we're just going to break it open like that. Look at that. Oh, that is so good. It's going to drip all over that. So bon appetit. And that is how you make a poached egg on hash.